Hey, what's going on, guys? Tom Davis here, America's Canine Educator. I am here at the Upstate Canine Academy, and today we have a little different video. Today we have a dog coming in from a local shelter that has had a little bit of problem getting adopted. This dog does have a little bit of a bite history, mainly because of poor handling by people. So in this episode, I'm just gonna break down some of the things that I do when I'm doing a temperament test with the dog, as well as how to start a foundation with the dog that you don't know that can be a little on edge. Let's rack up those likes for this dog. Let's get this dog adopted. The information is gonna be in the description below. I appreciate you guys watching. Let's get into the video. Whoa, somebody's got a lot of power.
He obviously hasn't had much work with him.
Yeah.
He's bitten twice. One, I don't think either of them are his fault.
Let's see if he likes these.
He does sit pretty well when he's...
Man, he's a tank.
Yeah.
You know, when dogs are this stimulated, any motivation usually is because it's a currency. So they're like, everything else in this room, because there's so much going on, is like, my goal is to just figure out where he's at mentally, just to see if I can get him engaged, get him to work. And then the overall goal for him would be being able to give him a job, because of his breed, he's gonna want something to do. He's obviously coming in very active of like, what can I get into? And if we can outlet that into something positive, like placing and sitting and staying and downing and healing, and it's gonna set him up more for success. Because if you get a dog like him, and just kind of leave them alone to their own devices or without training, it's gonna be a hassle, because he's gonna pull the potential new owners around. He's not gonna listen to them. He'll probably get really stimulated when he sees other dogs or cats or squirrels, etc. It'll make it really hard for him to find a forever home if he's out of control like that. All right, so I'm just gonna do some inside leash pressure stuff here. Good job, come on, Manny. Good man. He's just flying off the hinges too much, which is common, especially for a terrier. So what I like to do is then switch it inside, which will make it easier. So I'm just using my left leg, and I'm just creating like a big square, basically. Good. Come on. Good. Good. And if we can make him a little bit more obedient, it'll just be so much easier to do stuff with him. Sit. Yes, buddy. Good sit, Manny. Very good. So all I'm doing is just doing introduction of leash pressure, which is inside healing, sit, and then break. The break command is this free command. Some people use free, okay, I use break. And again, I'm just trying to create that structure so he has some guidance for the first time, instead of just coming in, you know, like, here I am. So I want him to have a little bit more structure where he's got some sort of gatekeeping going on. Let's go. Good. That's the loose leash that I'm looking for. Good. Let's go, come on. Good, and I'm just keeping him on one side to keep him consistent. I don't want him switching left and right, because he'll start tripping over me and I'll start spinning around in circles. So I'm keeping him in one side just to stay nice and consistent with him. Manny, sit. A little bit of pressure. Yes, buddy, good sit. Their state of mind on the leash tells you a lot about where they're at. So when you get a dog in and it's like completely out of control and they're like, you know, skiing in, that just tells you like a lot about where they're at up here, is they're just not connected on any level, which is gonna get hard for them. We got a dog just now dropped off. They came all the way from California. So my point is there's people, you know, all over the world that have problems with their dogs, and one of the first things that I notice with any dog, it doesn't matter if it's a shelter dog without a home or a dog that, you know, gets carried over here from California, that structure on the leash is like one of the first things that kind of represents their state of mind. I mean, if you're walking with your dog and you're both happy and you're with each other and you're nice and, you know, nice, that tells you like a really good story about where they're at mentally with you. And it's not about anything with you and him personally, it's about where his state of mind is. If he's making a mistake and lunging and being nippy and stuff like that at people, and we don't have the ability to say, hey, knock it off. That hey, knock it off is structure, respect, boundaries, discipline, consequence for him going, okay, I don't want to get in trouble. That's why I'm doing the very small steps of just the leash pressure, the sit, things like that, just to create that leverage. It's really just being about just having good leadership skills with him. To just, earlier when I said, hey, sit, and he's like, I don't really want to. I'm like, I'm gonna follow through with this. And he's like, oh, okay, this guy's serious. That'll carry over into those little things. That's why I'm doing the small stuff. And I'm also creating a relationship with him too, because I don't want to get a dog out and make him feel uncomfortable and then have a conflict like what we just saw, because then it's right in your face and it's scary. And I think it's just, he gets overly stimulated and he doesn't really know how to express himself. Right. Do you do any of this type of stuff with him or anything? Okay, just curious. I don't want to mess up his training. So I'm just introducing some very basic things like the heel, the place, the break. Manny, place. Good place. Sit. Nice work. Good sit, buddy. Good sit. A lot of this training that I'm doing is good foundation for him, but it also is temperament testing him. So some dogs where you give that pressure to them that they're not used to, they'll redirect, they'll get upset, they'll stiffen up, they'll growl, and he's not really pushing back on that at all, which is good. Because some dogs do, even like I said, even the dogs we have here in board and train, they'll kind of give you the eye. So that's good. So that's what I'm doing through all of this too, is working with him and bringing him through some of the foundation and teaching him some of the foundational stuff is also a good idea for me to gauge where he's at up here, because it's telling me how much patience he has, and he's obviously smart. He's able to catch on to things quick. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do a little bit of pressure testing with him with food. Obviously he's interested in the chicken. What I wanna do is just see how gentle he is with the food, how he takes it.
Iffy.
Okay.
Sometimes, for my sister, he's worse.
Okay.
My sister's not as in charge of him as
Okay.
I am.
Okay.
So he'll like just kind of grab her whole hand.
Okay.
Doesn't mean to, I don't think.
Right.
But me, I tell him sit, I tell him easy, and he's fine.
Easy. Oh, good boy. Also gauging his temperament to make sure it's safe for me. So I'll just hold it out and almost frustrate him with the food just to see how he mentally deals with that. You know, does he get upset? Is he patient? Does he work around it? And right now he's working around it. So I'm taking the food and I'm limiting him. So I take it and I hold it so he can't really get it. Good. Good. Easy, buddy. Very good. So again, he's not trying to snatch it. He's not jumping up. He's not getting frustrated. He's not even getting out of his sit. So all of that is good, because if you're going to see any resource guarding issues or anything like that, it would be right here. Good sit, buddy. So that's really great. Good sit. Good patience there. Good. Okay, break. So that was good. He looks good to me. If you know the things that he really doesn't like the vet. And we deal with that all the time. I mean, as professionals, like, we'll tell people, you're gonna be good as long as you don't do this, and then they do it. And you're like, okay, so, yes, good place. Nice job, bud. Good place, Manny. Sit. Yes, buddy, good sit. Good sit. Good sit. Well done. Good. 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 Place. Good. So the place would be just like a bed. So you guys have that. So if you just pull his bed out, and again, what this does is at the shelter, it's not going to be as useful as it's going to be for him mentally long-term. It's just one of those things that you can easily teach a dog to say, I want you to go here and you can't get off until I release you, which just helps create that relationship with him. So he's gonna start getting used to taking boundaries. He'll start getting used to saying, I don't really wanna do this anymore. And then you catch him, you're like, yeah, but you have to. So it starts pushing that patience with him. So I usually do the place, the sit. You could do implied sits, which is basically once you tell the dog to sit, they can't get up until you release them. Or you could do stay, which is a little bit more traditional. Doesn't matter. And then you hold that stay. If he gets up, you just give him a little bit of pressure, put him back into his sit. And then when you're ready for him to release, so perfect. So all of a sudden he goes, yeah, time's up, I'm out. And I catch him. And so again, I say, hey, I want you to do this. He's like, okay, fine. And then he's like, all right, I'm done. I'm like, no, you're not. I'm just telling him that he's got to go on me and not just on him. That's that gait that a lot of dogs sometimes don't have, is they all of a sudden make these really big decisions, like really quick. They're just like, I'm out. And that will also come into play in the future for other behavioral potential risks, where he just makes decisions, you know, nipping or jumping or anything like that. So just creating these boundaries and giving him that work. Exercise is obviously really great for him, but I also think just getting him out in a nice calm environment like this with some high reward food and creating some of that obedience with him would also give him a lot of structure and serenity, I think. It'll relieve a lot of stress. On the break, he can do really whatever he wants. So if you're gonna go out to the kennel door, I'm sure you guys provide him like with a sit and then a stay, and then you open the door and let him out. If you don't, you can start with that, just to give him that structure. So when he does transfer to the potential new house, dog owners just aren't used to like a trained dog. Poorly trained dog, in my opinion, of watching a dog is highly trained to a lot of people, you know? So with him, that's what I would be doing to help him when he gets into a new house. Same thing, give them, hey, make sure you tell him to sit before he goes out the door. And all of these things will help him develop into, you know, a well-mannered, calmer, efficient dog. Instead of saying like, here you go, just don't take the muzzle off at the vet. You could say, ask him to sit before he goes out the door, give him a break. Same thing with feeding him, tell him to sit, put the food down like you will probably already do, give him that break. And that way, when he does potentially go to a potential new adoptee, he has that in place. Not only will it be good for him to show off, like, oh wow, he knows stuff, which again, they will be like really pleased with, but it also will immediately copy and paste all of the structure that you guys can do with him into that new house. So it's an easier transfer. So the place, the sit, the break, and then the heel. When you teach a dog a heel, they don't have to heel the whole time. That's crazy. You just teach him to heel like when you tell him to heel, and you want him to just walk nicely on a loose leash. And this collar is really gonna help distribute that pressure. As you can see, it makes a big difference. Anyway, so just giving him more reasons to be successful. But again, it's not so much like, please like him. It's when you transfer him to a new potential, they're gonna be like, wow, this is great. He knows all of his basics, and he'll be more than likely more well-trained than the other dogs that are, you know, that they've had before. I think he's great. I think he's a good dog. Come here, new person.